How you doing, Keith?
I'm doing great, guys. I'm doing really well. It's been a crazy time, but today was a pretty special day.
Congrats, Jonesy. Does this mean you have to move away from just the one black suit jacket, or are you going to get a couple more?
It's been a blue one this year, old dog. It's been a blue one all year, and it lasted through today. It's brought me some luck this year, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a big role. I mean, obviously, we're a lot of people curious, how it all came about. Can you take us through the process? There were a bunch of different names kind of attached to the job, and ultimately it ends up being yours. How did this all come together where you became the president of hockey ops with the Flyers?
Well, I was asked by someone if I would be interested in it. There was some doubt whether or not I would be willing to leave the TV. And it took me about 10 seconds to think about it, and my answer was yes. That started a very long process of interviews after interview after interview. It was a very interesting process, but it was one that I really appreciated. It was a chance to really think about things and kind of develop my own ideas on what we wanted the culture to be moving forward. And by the end of it, privately, I was, clear that I did not want my name out there, that I did not want people to know that I was interviewing for the job if I didn't get it, because I wanted people to know that when I was doing my TV job, it was the most important job to me. And they were great about that. It was obviously late in the process that my name ever emerged, and I'm grateful that from that regard that's the way that it came out.
Jonesy, Jamie just mentioned the notion of everyone needs to be aligned in an organization, whether, you mentioned the culture, the thought process, belief in what you want. How do you go about getting that alignment? How do you go about making sure that everybody's kind of on the same page so there's no issues moving forward?
Yeah, that's a challenge, but to me, it's all about being honest, about having honest conversations within the entire organization. I want people that are working for us to enjoy working there. There's been way too much negativity floating out of the building, and we want that to end. So in order to make it end, we need to make sure that we do a great job of treating our employees well. We want them to love being a member of the Philadelphia Flyers. We want our players to love being members of the Philadelphia Flyers. Winning makes things better. We're not winning over the last few seasons. This year, we're probably not going to be winning a whole lot. But if people see that things are developing in the right direction, I think that helps change the narrative as well. We want to be clear with our fans what we're doing. Yes. We want to communicate with them. We're not trying to hide from it. We want to get better for them and give them a better product to enjoy.
Jonesy, getting your feet wet on the job, is it almost a situation where you got to sit back and almost do a forensic audit of the whole organization and, like you said, maybe build a culture, but also in unison with the people that you do trust that are already in place?
Yeah, that's a big part of it, Jamie. And I'm honestly going to be doing a lot of listening and learning and hunting and gathering, so to speak, information, because I stayed away from that side of the game. I've only done my job as an analyst in the workings of the organization. And that's something that I wanted to be a part of until now. So now I'm going to work my tail off to make sure that I cover every aspect of it. But that's going to be the process. So having reports there to work with me, I think is essential, and it's something that we're all looking forward to try to, piece together a much better product on the ice at the same time, make sure that we do this thing properly and have the best people working for us. I have all the resources I need at my fingertips. We are in a great position because we're working for a company that has given us the green light to do whatever we need to do to get this thing on track. And we're going to do everything we can to innovate, come up with new ideas, and, we can pay some people to work for us. So it's a pretty good deal.
We're chatting with Keith Jones. He is the new president of hockey operations with the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll throw him on hold. We'll see if we can get a better connection. That was
it was teetering.
Really teetering.
And you want to hear what he's got
good.
to say, because it's interesting, because, going in, I mean, this is a huge offseason for him. And you heard him say that, we might not be doing a lot of winning early on, but we want to be transparent. So there has to be a plan in place how to execute that. And do you keep everyone in place moving forward? You've got a coach who's certainly passionate, but
yeah, and Torts is like, he's going to do it his way.
Right.
That's a big part of it as well, right? Like, Tortorella is not going to adapt. He's not going to change. Like,
no, but
he's going to do what he does.
I think Torts has been a guy all about, even when he first came in, he was all about culture, and we got to get some things right here.
Mm-hmm.
And
when he first got there, he goes, "We got some big problems in the locker."
Well, he was, but he was
before
very
he had been
honest.
in the room.
Yeah, before he was even in the room, he's like, "We got to get some stuff sorted out." So, that's about being on the same page of everybody involved to help push that culture forward.
All right, we got Keith Jones back on the line. Jones, we were just talking about John Tortorella, your head coach, and he's been a head coach for a long time. Everyone's got a take and a viewpoint of John and how he operates. How big of a role is he going to have to play in what you've been telling us here about being honest about what the team is, but also trying to establish a new culture and ultimately trying to win in the future?
Yeah, his number one priority will be to coach our team. That's what he loves to do. But he already did an outstanding job of laying the groundwork for what we need from our players when we move forward. It's not hard to figure out what type of players that John Tortorella wants playing for him. We got to go out and find him players that have, great talent. It's something that we're, short on compared to other teams. This team this year was a much more competitive team, and John Tortorella has a lot to do with that. But we can do more to make sure that we draft extremely well, that we, turn over some players that we can find in different areas and make sure that we add them at the appropriate time. And we can get some cap space, too, for down the road when it's time for us to start recruiting talented players to join us when we're ready to take that next step. So his patience is going to be something that we're going to ask of him. And I don't think there's any question that John's on board in that regard.
Jonesy, being at ice level or covering games, the 8 teams that are remaining, 7 now, Carolina's through. What is something in common of the teams left that's just something to help you understand in the organization that's where we get to? Like, what are all these teams? Is there one thing in common that it's like they got that and we got to get it?
Their blue lines are strong, old dog. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the foundation of the best teams has so much to do with their back end, and it used to always be about goaltending, but the best goaltenders in the game, as far as I was concerned, entering the playoffs are no longer in the playoffs. So I do think the back end matters a lot. I think if you can build that, you can pretty much do anything when you're ready to add, extreme talent up front and at any of the positions, especially at center. But I think the back end's one of the common denominators amongst all the teams that seem to find a way to win a Stanley Cup.
What are you going to miss about doing TV?
All the friends, everybody. It's like it's a fabulous job. I had so much fun doing it. You miss your interactions with the fans, but it's being part of a team like it was when you played. And all those friends are really important to me. The good news is we'll still be able to visit, but I will miss the day-to-day interaction with all those guys.
Jonesy, wouldn't it be, for me anyways, win or lose, as long as I didn't swear on air, I felt pretty good and jumped on the plane and you were good to go, where as in management, you're going to have to live with some of those wins and losses now that could add some stress and some sleepless nights.
That's a great point, buddy. That is one of the great advantages of doing television. You don't win and you don't lose. Although when you do a local team, you do feel the losses a little bit more because it does affect your broadcast. A winning team, a winning broadcast is a great broadcast. A team that loses is not a great broadcast. So I'm going to try to help our broadcasters out here in Philadelphia, whoever replaces me, down the road that we have a very competitive team that they can feel proud of.
Well, I'm curious how you anticipate your relationship working with the media in Philly now that you're no longer a part of it, but you've been a part of it for so long. Like, do you intend on being accessible? How often will you be in front of the cameras and the mics? What's your plan on that front?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will tell you, I've always been Jonesy here in Philadelphia. I'm not going to be Keith. So I will be myself when I talk to the people that I know within the media and to the fans. The media are extremely important to me. It's our way of communicating our message to the fans. They have a very important job to do. I know that from their side of it. So when I'm asked to do something, I will do it. I'm going to make sure that I'm accessible because I think it's a major plus if we can continually keep our fans informed of where we are heading. And I want to include them in the journey as we, get going on this new plan to bring back the orange. So we'll see how that plays out, but I'm going to be accessible.